It's a great pleasure and honor for me to speak to the congregation and to the distinguished rabbis. My name is Samuel Ron. I'm 99 years old more. I live here in Sinai residence with my wife. I'm a Holocaust survivor from Poland. At age 14, I went to a Hebrew high school in the city of Krakow. That year, so many events happened in Jewish life that molded my character. September 1st, 1939, the Germans attacked Poland. It took 3 or 4 days. The German army walked into my town. In 1941, as the Germans attacked the Soviet Union, they murdered over 1 million Jews with a single bullets in eastern Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Ukraine, and Belarus. After this action, in January 22nd, 1942, they had a conference in Berlin. They called it the Wannsee Conference, and they decided on a final solution. And he created death camps. Now, death camps is not a concentration camp, it's special death camps. It's like Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec. They killed over 2 million people in a year and a half. In the summer of 1942, the deportation came closer to my town. The cities close to town were deported. So my parents, my father, prepared a place that we can go in hiding with some Polish friends. This Polish friend did not do this for money. He was sacrificing his life and ours too. We want to smuggle ourselves into the ghetto Krakow. Smuggle ourselves into the ghetto Krakow. So how you do this? My father, when he was in the Polish army, had a good friend, a nobleman. A nobleman is somebody with big estate. They were very good friends. So the nobleman provided horse and buggies, and we went like to the market of the city of Krakow. When we get closer to the ghetto, we smuggled ourselves into the ghetto. March the 13th, 1943, they came to liquidate the ghetto. My group was about 200 people, so we went walked to Camp Pashov. But there was terrible things there. There was selections, there was hanging, there were shootings. But I was in Pashov with all my family, including my mother, because she was in the women's camp there. Next day, they took me out. We went to the railroad station, and we put it in a cattle car. Now, this first experience in a cattle car is unbelievable to explain to you. They put 100 people in a car, they closed the door, they put a bucket of water and a bucket for sanitation. Let me tell you something. First of all, you don't know where you're going. That was awful. And the other thing is, when you get in that cattle car, you behave like an animal anyhow. But you know something? The noise of the tracks never left me. And it's still in my mind all the time. I can hear the noise of the tracks there. So finally, we go to a place. We get into a new place. We get unloaded. Then the first thing, we get in the shower. Now, by then, we know what showers mean, gas coming. So you were watching and see what the hell was coming out from the top there. But let me tell you, when water came out, we start singing Hebrew song, Ba'imai. So we know we got another day to go. So I get to a new place in Pionki. Pionki was the largest ammunition factory in Poland. Then it came 1944, summer of 1944. The Russian army occupied eastern Poland, and they stopped at the Vistula. Meanwhile, the Germans moved all the prisoners at slave laborers west to Germany, west. They didn't want to be captured by the Germans there. So they sent it to Auschwitz, Buchenwald, other places. See, so in my place, the owner of the one who was in charge of the factory didn't want to go to the war, So he had permission from the Germans to move the factory to Germany. And he had permission to take 300 Jews to Germany to rebuild the factory. They put us again in cattle cars. They said, we're going to Germany. So finally we get to a place named Oranienburg. So they take us in, we get into a shower. And then after the shower, they sprayed DDT. It's terrible, it's burning like hell. Then they give us paper clothes, no shoes. And they put us in a barrack for isolation. They said, for 3 weeks, if we don't get sick, we can go to the place where the factory, where the machinery is. The minute I get to Sachsenhausen, for the next 7 or 8 months, we were hungry. Hundreds of people died. People died. You know, you wake up in the morning at the roll call. After that, they give you a little coffee. Looks like coffee. Then we go out to work. When we come out to work, they gave you some soup. But you know, it was the end of the soup. You couldn't even find a piece of wood in that soup. And then on Sunday, you get 2 slices of bread. On Sunday, 2 slices of bread. By January 1945, they didn't want to work hard, so they sent us back to the camp, to Sachsenhausen. That was hell on earth there. Finally, sometime in April, there were rumors. There was rumors they're going to evacuate the camp, but they're going to separate the Jews. This started the march, the Death March. For 2.5 weeks, no food was given on the march. So the first week, as we marched, anybody stepped out, got shot. Hundreds of people died there. Terrible. But I'll tell you what happened. May the 2nd, 1945, the German guards at night disappeared. And we were left in the woods free. We were left in the woods free. So we seen an abandoned German tank. So we crawled on the tank. You know what we found? Sugar and cognac. So my first food was a little sugar and a little cognac. And then we started walking to the main street there. And what did I see? Hundreds of thousands of German soldiers running away. What happened is the Americans and the Russians were meeting very close. So the German soldiers didn't want to be captured by the Russians. They wanted to be captured by the Americans. So I see German soldiers, trucks, everything. Well, finally I see a GI one day. So we stepped on the steps of one of the truck and we walked into the city, Schwerin, you know. As I came into the city, there was a place like the barracks for German army. They put place for the survivors. When I looked over there, there was a soldier standing in front of the door with a bayonet. I said, Sam never goes in a place when there's a guard. So what we did, we found out a bombed house. We went on the 2nd floor at midnight. So next day we went downtown, big city, Schwerin. As we went downtown, I see a GI doing the traffic. But on the side were 2 other GIs standing there in a Jeep. So I don't know, it was my idea or my friend's idea. They said, one of these guys looked to me Jewish, with the 2 soldiers. So we went over there. I said, are you Moshe from Brooklyn? He didn't know very Yiddish, but he said, yes. So you know what they did? This is the first time they seen survivors. So across the street was a big store. He took us into the store. He said, you take anything you wanted. So I unload all my junk, and I put in all my new clothes, everything else. I was looking at this. So then we walked out. There was a sign there, the Red Cross office, American Red Cross. I walked in there, American Red Cross. She gave me a package of 20-pounder, you know, good stuff, sardines, chocolate. But then she asked me a question. Do you have anybody extra kin? I didn't know first what she wanted because I went 1 year high school. Oh, I learned this God Save the King. That's how I knew English, you know. So finally I understood what she said. I said, yes, I got an uncle living in America. His name is Benjamin Rakowski in Lima. I didn't say Lima, I said Lima. She said, Lima, where? I said, I don't know where. So she sat down and sat down. You see, I still have a good memory now, so I had a good memory there. So I remembered, I looked at, there was, my uncle was sending letters to my grandmother, sending maybe money. We had an uncle living in America who went before the World War I. So I would start reading what was written on the envelope. Now, it was written Buckeye rubber, but I didn't know Buckeye. I said, B-su-ki-e-e. Oh, she said, Buckeye, that's Ohio. You know that, Buckeye is Ohio. My father survived the war in Mauthausen. He spent a whole year in an American hospital. My young brother died in Mauthausen a month before the war. My mother survived in a camp in Gross-Rosen and Auschwitz. I got some other families survived. My uncle, Isaac Levenstein, survived on Schindler's List. I was in Linton, Schindler's List. But a lot of my friends and people went to Treblinka, to Belzec. So this event was something unusual in history. You know, it's not just a genocide. It was a genocide of people by the most enlightened government in Europe with help of all the Western civilization, including America, was quiet about it. Now, the problem is a few of us survived yet. Few of us today. But there are going to be museums and people written. So this has to be talked about because we're dying out. So we have books, so there's no choice there. But history, we will be talking about it. It's very important, well, because we have to show this, that Israel, Jewish people are still here, and will be here forever. Am Yisrael Chai, we're never going to give up.